Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, January 31st, the last day of the month. Here for this January, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you on this Friday. 4 games tonight in the NHL. We'll get to those in just a moment. And, of course, we only have a week and change away from the Four Nations break. So we've got about 9 days left of NHL hockey, and then it's the break for the Four Nations face-off. The last day of NHL action will be on Sunday, February the 9th. It's basically Super Bowl Sunday is the last day of NHL hockey before the break. So we'll basically have shows every day till then. And then, of course, scheduled to be determined. We'll announce it closer to when the Four Nations face-off tournament takes place. As we announced earlier this week, our final betcast before the Four Nations face-off hiatus. It will be Patreon exclusive once again for our Patreon members only. And it will take place Thursday, February the 6th, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So again, next Thursday, pretty solid card. Make sure you join us. Again, we wanted to make this a Patreon exclusive live betcast to really, thank the people that just recently signed up and took advantage of the $50 or 50%, I should say, off discount. And give them another betcast next week, all our Patreon members. So that's what we're going to do. Final betcast before the break, Thursday, February 6th, next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you have not joined Patreon yet and you want to be part of that betcast, make sure you sign up. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And of course, not only will you have access to all the live betcasts that are exclusive to Patreon, but also daily goalie charts, totals charts, the daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each day on the page, and more. So patreon.com/iceguys for that. And thank you to all of you, because we just recently hit 250 Patreon members. We thank you so much for that. It is wonderful to see that. And we thank you so much for your support of the Ice Guys show by signing up as a Patreon member. All right, last night was a big Thursday night in NHL action. Started out poorly. It actually ended very well for me, the way it went. So it was all over the place, up and down night. But boy, it certainly ended well. It did actually have a couple winners early. Chicago, Carolina, man. We got the first period over. We had Chicago to score in the first period. We hit both of those in that game. It was 1-1. But Carolina gets the 3-2 win in that game. Of course, I was on the full game over too, but I was on more so the Chicago-Carolina first period over, so got out of that with some profit there overall. Chicago cut it to 3-2, but that's as close as they would come. Hurricanes get a 3-2 victory, and Mikko Rantanen scores his first goal as a member of the Carolina Hurricanes last night in that victory over Chicago. Winnipeg beating down Boston 6-2 in that game. That's now the 12th straight win for the Winnipeg Jets, where they have held the opponent to 2 goals or less. I was on the Bruins team total under 2.5. I actually bet some unders last night, crazy as it is to say, and I actually won both of them. The 2 unders I bet, I won. It's like a miracle. It's like the apocalypse or something, but never Twilight Zone. But nevertheless, it was good to see that. And in this game, Winnipeg gets the 6-2 win. I was on the Bruins team total under, which cashed. It's funny. The Bruins get a huge goal at the beginning of the third, make it 3-2. You think they got the momentum. Maybe they can tie this game. And then the roof just caves in on them all over again with the goals they gave up right after that. So pretty crazy to see that. 6-2 for Winnipeg against Boston. Minnesota, 4-0 shutout against Montreal. I was on Minnesota. Alex had them as the best bet. And Marc-Andre Fleury, in his final start of his career in Montreal, gets a shutout. It's almost like it was poetic. I did dabble, just tiny, nothing significant. I wish I had put more on it, but I did dabble in the plus 1,200, Fleury to get a shutout prop. Nice to hit that in that game. And this is another one where I had the under, believe it or not. I just felt low-scoring game. Minnesota, man, they didn't even give up 20 shots last night. It was a 19-save shutout for Marc-Andre Fleury, and we talked about that yesterday without Kaprizov, this has become the 2000-2001 Jacques Lemaire Minnesota Wild all over again. They are really playing airtight defense, tight checking, not much room through the neutral zone, really trying to clog things up in the middle of the ice. That is their modus operandi right now without Kirill Kaprizov, and we certainly saw that on display last night, getting that 4-0 shutout win. Just did not give Montreal very much time and space in that game. And the Wild get the job done there, which means Montreal, because they were shut out, they will be in the system play in their next game, which comes your way Sunday when they go to Anaheim to take on the Anaheim Ducks. LA, Tampa Bay. LA shut out in back-to-back game. This was a system play that went 0-2, obviously. First period over, full game over, no good. Tampa Bay, a 3-0 shutout. LA back-to-back shutout losses means they are now in the super system in their next game, which is a scary proposition that you think, how can we keep trusting this LA team offensively right now? And this is a long pattern of them scoring 2 goals or less in recent games. So that's the concerning part. They're in Carolina tomorrow night, but the super system play, which is teams off back-to-back shutout losses, is 4-0 to the first period over this year, 3-1 to the full game over this year. So it has been pretty good. And you just got to, grit your teeth and just hope for the best that it's going to be good tomorrow night when the Kings play the Hurricanes in that game. But yeah, ugly stuff from the Kings. Just cannot finish. They're not even generating a ton either right now. In fact, that could have been a lot worse if not for David Riddick last night, who actually didn't play that bad at all for the Kings in net. Tampa Bay, though, with the 3-0 shutout win. Great job by Ottawa. Great stuff from them as they took a big lead against Washington, blow the lead. Capitals tie it, but Ottawa rescues themselves. Thomas Chabot, the birthday boy, scores in overtime to get the 5-4 win. We cashed the draw, which looked it was in trouble. A lot of us were on the draw, Washington, Ottawa. It was great to hit that last night. It was not great to see the system play fail us in the Islander-Flyer game as well. Islanders 3-0 shutout win over the Flyers. The Flyers, like the Kings, are now in a super system play in their next game as well, off back-to-back shutout losses. Their next game is in Colorado on Sunday afternoon. So that's the super system play in effect there for the Flyers, who again get blanked in back-to-back games, who also made greater headlines than getting shut out by the Islanders last night by making a trade with Calgary in the late night. They get Andrei Kuzmenko, and they get, obviously, as well, Jacob Pelletier from the Calgary Flames in exchange for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. Calgary did well. Those are 2 good players, 2 offensive players. Frost needed a change of scenery. He's going to get it. He's a solid player. Again, I think when you look at it, Calgary, these are 2 guys that are going to help them as they try to make this playoff push. And for Philadelphia, look, it's more of a risk because Kuzmenko's been disappointing. He had almost 40 goals 2 years ago. His offense has dissipated since then, and he's not very good defensively. He's been accused of being lazy at times as a hockey player. And now you got to see if Torts is going to get something out of him. And we saw Torts and Mishkov going at it, John with each other on the bench last night. I can only imagine what could happen with Torts and Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko's got a lot of those habits: lazy, defensively irresponsible, and that's the stuff Torts won't put up with. So if, Torts and Mishkov are going at it, on the bench last night, wait till Kuzmenko gets there and Torts has a chance to try to coach his ass moving forward. And Pelletier has had those issues at times in the past, but Pelletier was really playing good hockey for the Flames before this trade. So I do like the Flyers, Danny Briere, Keith Jones getting Jacob Pelletier in that deal as well. But Flyers get shut out 3-0. Alex, your thoughts on that Flyer-Flame deal last night?
I think it's a great trade for Calgary. I think getting Farabee and Frost, that's going to add some more offensive depth. This is a team now that has, I think, all the parts. We know the defense and the goaltending's there. More so on the goaltending with Dustin Wolf. He's a guy that I feel you can trust in a 7-game series. But to have that, a couple extra pieces offensively, that's something that Calgary's going to need to try to keep up with the Edmontons and the Dallases and the Vegases of the Western Conference should they make it into the postseason. So they're clearly on a postseason run. And in Philly, I mean, there's a lot to unpack with Philly, right? What we saw last night with Matvei Michkov and Tortorella going back and forth. And now here you go, bringing in Andrei Kuzmenko, who was a former teammate of Michkov's, guess they're saying that's kind of the reason for
Over
bringing
in
him
Russia.
in. So,
Yep.
yeah, so maybe that's something that'll help, kind of quell the rookie. But like I said, obviously, that's never a good sign when you see Tortorella once again going after another superstar. And I kind of mentioned this in our chat last night. I was talking back and forth with Jimmy, where Jimmy was kind of saying, 19-year-old rookie needs to, shut up and sit down and know his place, which is true. Oh, I totally agree with that. But at the same time, how many times can we see John Tortorella going head to head? Either we hear about it publicly or we actually see it publicly with a superstar. And it's not just we bring up coaches like Mike Keenan, for example, right? Mike Keenan ruffled everybody's feathers, whether you were the superstar or a fourth line grinder or a goon, a goalie, whatever. But when you have a coach like Tortorella, it's always some shit with a superstar. And it's going back all the way to the end of his tenure with Tampa Bay, New York Rangers, Vancouver, and this is another instance of it. Columbus, of course, the whole lineage. So what is it at this point now where he's just trying to mold everyone into being copy paste? Everybody's a team player, and he doesn't. He clearly is not a fan of individualism at any level. It seems like. As far as creativity or breaking away from a play, everything's got to be straight lined and structured. And yet here we are with another. Now we're going to have the Philly media going haywire, especially if this starts to spiral into a losing streak. Okay, if this trade doesn't work out right away, if Peltier and Kuzmenko come out and they're duds, okay, if Kuzmenko's playing, like I said, lazy on defense, and now here's Tortorella screaming at another guy. It's just Philly just seems to be.
Kuzmenko's got a lot of bad habits in his game right now. Terrible habits, lazy habits, lack of defensive.
And he's the last person. Yeah, he's the last person that Tortorella probably wants on his team.
I know.
He's not a Tortorella kind of player. But at the same time, you have to start wondering what has Tortorella kind of players gotten Tortorella and his teams lately. I can't keep standing up and saying that, oh, this is well, he's just a hard-nosed, tough guy. He's trying to build tough character. Bullshit. This man has one cup from when I was in high school. And a bunch of just struggling mid-range up and down teams. Oh, yeah, now they're playing hard. They're playing with, playing skating for their lives last year, early in the year, and then they fell off the table. So I'm waiting for them to just fall off the table now at this point. Yes, this is a good trade long-term, but I don't really think anything happens at this point with the Flyers until they make a coaching change. I was never a fan of bringing Tortorella in, and this is just another instance where he's just going to continue to ruffle feathers and not get the production that he needs consistently enough for a franchise to actually do well.
You know what? It's just look, Mishkov has a lot of bad habits too in his game, but there's no doubt he's been going after him multiple times now. And yes, to Jonathan's point, he did respond last time he healthy scratched him. You're right, but again, now he's reverting into those same habits, and now he's hearing the same shit again. And at some point, that's why Torts has had the shelf life everywhere he's been. Because you could get the improvement initially, but if he goes back to those same habits, he gets even harder, right. on that player. And then that's when they start to, tune out. It's just the way it's been. And I'm not saying the players have to learn to have some toughness. But at the same point in time, that's why the message gets stale. That's why coaches don't last more than 2-3 years in this newer generation. The attention span and the dealing with the harping day in and day out is players these days don't, I think, handle it, tolerate it as easily as they did 30 or 40 years ago. That's the way I see it.
Oh, it's a combination of both. Yeah. And like I said, and I believe that is a league-wide issue. But as far as John Tortorella is concerned, in my eyes, like I said in the chat, he's TJ Maxx. He is the king of the recycled coaches. And like I said, it hasn't worked. Okay, last time he won a title, we still had the 2-line pass installed. Okay, nothing has worked as far as just consistency with his teams when he's become a hard ass.
He had some phenomenal players on that Tampa team too. Marty St. Louis, Vinny LeCavalier.
He's had tons of talent.
Impenetrable in that playoffs too.
He's had ton of talent since then. He's had some incredibly. He's had some of the most talented players in the league throughout his tenures coaching. And yet the success is not always there, and there's always some controversy. There's always some bullshit, and it's always usually him stirring the pot.
Yeah. You gotta have a certain type of thick skin to have John Tortorella as your coach, and I think the ones that can really handle it mentally really mentally tough, can handle the berating, can handle the reprimanding, can handle the, just the verbal beatdowns when you screw up. Those are the ones I think that long term they say, well, you know what? He toughened me up, made me a better player. It's going to be
Yeah,
interesting to see.
and then they went somewhere else to win a championship because of that. Not winning a championship with Tortorella though.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think it's a shelf life. You hear it in the first month or year that he's a coach of a team and he's getting on you. You respond and you're positive to it. But when you're hearing the same message over and over again, every single time that you screw up or make a mistake, that the tune-out starts to happen.
Sounds like he should be coaching college.
Mishkov was listening just even a few months ago. But look at last night.
Yeah.
He's giving it right back to Tortorella when Tortorella was reaming him out. So that's already proof that Mishkov's, already on the edge of I'm tuning it out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's the point. For that to get that verbal that exchange and be that public in the middle of a game means that it's been way worse than what we haven't seen.
Yeah. So it's like I said, and wait till Kuzmenko gets there. Ryan Whitney had a great post. Torts may choke out Kuzmenko on the bench at some point. Yeah, I mean, geez. I mean,
if Tortorella was coaching 30, 35 years ago, I'm sure we would have heard of a story of him dropping the gloves, fighting a player in practice. That wouldn't shock me for 1 second. Only because it's a different time now.
He's the anti-Torts player. And Torts has got to extricate the bad habits out of Kuzmenko. I'm fascinated to see how that dynamic's going to play out. It's going to be interesting, and that's why it's a little bit of a risk here with the Flyers. Anyway, we got to move on here. We've got Anaheim, Calgary, the team that the Flyers did that trade with, the Flames. 4-1 win they had over the Anaheim Ducks in that game. Another just terrific performance from Dustin Wolf, man. I mean, what more can you say? Unfortunately, gave up the 1 goal, so no shutout. But man alive, he still played great. 30 saves on 31 shots. And gets the 4-1 win here. I'm telling you, and this is not me overreacting to a small sample size. This kid's got the legit goods to be a good goaltender in the NHL. He is going to get roster consideration for USA at the Winter Olympics in 2026. If he continues to compile a body of work this good between now and next, February or whenever that Olympics is, he's going to at least get consideration to make that roster.
Absolutely.
So well he's playing. Right now,
I don't like to always toot my horn, but I got to toot here and say that Dustin Wolf playing just as good as advertised right now, and carrying that Calgary Flames team.
Carrying them. You take him off that team, they're not even close to wild card playoff territory. Not even close, in my opinion. Here, all right, Detroit and Edmonton. This was frustrating. As you know, what I used on the best bet for the show yesterday was Detroit to score in the first period. They get shut out, but they come back and they win in a shootout 3-2. But I did have a piece of Detroit. It's just frustrating. I should have had the guts to take Detroit money line as the best bet, or even Columbus. My 2 big dogs that I thought were live in the late night hours, they both got it done. Detroit, what a great comeback by them. 3-2 against the Oilers. They got the 2 goals in the second period. We got absolutely robbed a couple of times with Casper, the friendly betting ghost, Marco Casper. He had like 3 or 4 brilliant chances last night to add to his recent goal-scoring surge. And, of course, that was one of my bargain bin specials. It was not meant to be, but, man, he was close to getting on the board for Detroit. But great comeback for the Red Wings, 3-2. They win in a shootout over the Oilers. That's now 4 wins in a row for Detroit. Great win for Columbus. I'm telling you what, Elvis Merzlikins, this is the best stretch of hockey I've seen him play in a very long time. I would say years. It was very good again last night. 1 goal allowed on 26 shots. Columbus gets the overtime win, 2-1. Cole Sillinger with the overtime winner. The Jackets, man, a feisty, scrappy bunch. And Dean Evison, another coach who's done an absolutely outstanding job and has the Jackets still very much in the Eastern Conference wildcard race. And then in the late night hours, we wrapped up. And like I said, the late night games treated me pretty solidly. We had the over by Fecta with San Jose, Seattle, and it was all Seattle. The Kraken roll past the San Jose Sharks 6-2. It was a very rough night for the San Jose goaltenders, both of them. Askarov got yanked after 4 goals allowed, and Georgiev allowed 2 after that, and it was a beatdown in favor of the Seattle Kraken. They get the 6-2 win over the San Jose Sharks. Alex, anything you want to discuss and add about last night?
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the breaking news of Brandon Saad signing with Vegas to bring them some offensive help.
Give him the cup. Give him the cup now.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously the big game last night was Calgary Anaheim. That was really the big game that I watched after, of course, Minnesota Montreal. Which that was, if there's two games and two bets that I had in this season where I could just relax and there was never a sweat, it was Wild money line, because once again we see the Wild, like, not only are they playing tough defensively, but they're making it look effortless in these last two games. Like I said, they've almost looked like scrimmages. Like they expended more energy in this game last night with Montreal than they had to against Toronto. But to go on the road, get 4 points, and not have to expend a lot of energy in the middle of the year, even if you got a break coming up or not, is crucial, especially for a beat up team like Minnesota. Like, that is just imperative. You want to have these, we talk about it all the time, goalie stealing games, having clutch scoring in crucial moments. This is as important of a win now as it would be the end of April to try and clinch a playoff spot, or get extra points to clinch being in the postseason. These kind of games, they don't loom large right now when in the grand scheme of things. But when you look back, getting these wins, stringing these wins together is paramount to whatever the Wild are going to do moving forward in the second half. But Calgary and Anaheim, like I said, Dustin Wolf, the more you watch him and you just see whenever he makes mistakes, and he's one of those goalies now too. Like I said, it sucks that I lost the shutout prop plus 875, but when he gave up that goal, he's one of those guys that you see that he makes the right adjustments. He doesn't beat himself up. He doesn't get too down on himself. He's right back into the game, and that's the biggest thing with a goalie, right? Especially young goalies. Don't mentally break. Okay, yeah, you give up one goal, you give up two goals. Trust that the guys in front of you are going to score. Trust that the defenders in front of you are going to pick up the play. But also make sure you keep your focus and confidence. And he does that very, very well. He's a fun goalie to watch. He reminds me of like the old school '90s goalies. There's a little bits and pieces of, it's not the same, full on as watching a Brodeur or a Waugh, but there's little characteristics that we saw from goalies when we grew up that I see in Dustin Wolf, and it makes it fun to watch. Like I said, most people don't want to watch a 3-2 or 4-1 game, but he's made some of these lower scoring games, and we've seen a lot of low scoring games in the last week. But some of these low scoring games have actually been really entertaining.
Hate something like Matt Robinson hates the Vegas Golden Knights. I can't get enough of it. I love it. You're supposed to hate them. They don't like Dallas. I don't mind that. It's great. Keep the hate.
That's a rivalry, and that's a real rivalry. Remember when Vegas came to the league and they were trying to, just mash them up with LA because it was LA, Vegas, Kings, and Knights, and it just never had that feel. Now we have a true rivalry where Vegas and Dallas, two fan bases and two teams that don't like each other. That's great for the sport.
Yeah, no doubt. And it just got exacerbated and elevated with the Miro Heiskanen incident the other night in their game between with the Golden Knights and the Stars. And Dustin Wolf, this is a product, too, of expansion in the NHL. His parents were San Jose Sharks season ticket holders out there in California. And, without San Jose getting a team, is Dustin Wolf even in the NHL as a goalie right now? Probably not.
If the Phoenix Coyotes didn't exist, do we have Austin Matthews as the top goal scorer for Toronto? Yeah, it matters.
Matters.
Long term, it matters.
No doubt. It matters. There's no question. It matters that now there's hockey. There's NHL teams in California, Arizona when it was there, Utah now. Watch Utah kids, get interested now even more in growing up. The kids now growing up wanting to get into hockey now more. Florida, it's made an impact because there's more Florida, more players from Florida in the NHL than ever before. Nevada,
the
state
of Tennessee.
Yep.
All the places where we've seen, we give Gary Bettman a lot of shit.
And his son Carson down there, and he's into hockey there. Yeah,
we give Bettman a lot of shit, but we have seen growth of hockey players and talent coming from these places where these expansion teams were placed, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So,
no doubt. It's making an impact. Let's try to make an impact with some winning wagers tonight on the Friday NHL board. Nashville, Buffalo to get it started. Nashville minus 120, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. It is Rob Ray night at Buffalo. He will be honored and put into the Buffalo Sabres Hall of Fame tonight in a pregame ceremony. Well-deserved. I mean, obviously, whole career with Buffalo in the NHL. Enforcer, one of the great enforcers of the sport, going back 30 40 years ago. Actually, he played into the 2000s for a little bit, but definitely mostly 80s, 90s with the Buffalo Sabres, of course. Now he's been a broadcaster since retiring with the Buffalo Sabres, color analyst with the of course, recently passed away Rick Jeanneret initially, and now with Dan Dunleavy, who's taken over doing the Sabre games since Rick Jeanneret passed away full-time, that is. It was an RJ Dan split at first, but now it's, of course, Dan full-time. Very entertaining, engaging, funny, colorful character, always has been, certainly. And like I said, whole career with the Sabres, and, well-deserved. Like I said, you got to honor guys that, maybe didn't put the pucks in the net, but did the tough job on the ice throughout the career. And certainly Rob Ray did that. So for Buffalo, certainly a night that is a little more special than your average Friday night regular season home game. The problem is for Nashville, they got the dads going with them on this trip starting tonight here in Buffalo. So you would think that, plus the Predators off a setback 3-1, losing to Vancouver at home the other night, that they're going to play pretty solid here in this game. So from a side perspective, this is tricky. What I am going to do here is I think this game has a goals explosion in it. Buffalo, for the season, I think the run for Buffalo at home lately is something like 9-2 to the over in their last 11 home games. But I know for the season, they've been a huge home over team. There's no question. If you look at the recent head-to-head meetings in Buffalo with the Predators and the Sabres, 3 of them have gone over, and those 3 of the 4, and those scores were 4-3, 4-3, 5-3 in those games. We'll see if that continues here, but I definitely like an over by Fecta with Nashville Buffalo tonight in this game, over 1.5. It was 6, it's gone up to 6.5. But I do still think you can get over that number. Liking goals, I like the way it sets up. 2, Nashville off a 1-goal performance against Vancouver. They probably can bounce back. I know Buffalo pounded the hell out of Boston 7-2, but it's not exactly a team you trust to shut down the opponent 2 nights in a row. So I think Nashville bounces back offensively here. But I think Buffalo scores goals too. They have been very good at home putting the puck in the net the last month or so, and they get the benefit of Justus Onanen in net here tonight for the Nashville Predators, who has not been very good lately. The running joke is we're calling him useless Onanen here on the show. He has struggled lately, so I think Buffalo gets their goals too in this game. So over by Fecta for me here with Predators and Sabres. I'm even tempted to take both team totals over, Nashville's and Buffalo's. I think it really could be that kind of game tonight. Alex, what do you think here, Nashville, Buffalo?
Yeah, we were talking about the in our chat, the record of how Buffalo, they play well when they're wearing their alternate uniforms, and it makes kind of some sense too. When they wear those jerseys, it's either a weekend night, it's against a top tier team, or there's some kind of special ceremony. Those are all things that get the crowd jazzed up, gives a little bit more energy in the building. So obviously you tend to kind of see a little bit more scoring. The 6 moved to 6.5. I still like 6.5 minus $1.10. But with the first period over at minus 140, I'm going to wait a couple minutes in game and grab that. Try and grab that down closer to like maybe $1.10. Maybe try to get a little greedy and grab plus money. But I do think this is going to be an up and down battle. I would slightly lean with Buffalo, but like I said, no reason to take a side with either one of these 2 teams. These teams that they're hard to rely on to cash on the money line. But we do like goals here. So give me the over by Fecta, pre-game with the full game over, and then in-game with the first period over.
And Buffalo 0-3, they're just a short-term sample size, but 0-3 their last 3 games off a win. So that goes to show you that not always reliable to string 2 wins in a row together, Buffalo. So, yeah, definitely like over by Fecta. And like I said, I think it wouldn't be shocking to see this, 4-4 or 5-4 or even 6-4 for somebody. I mean, we saw 7-4, I think, last time they were in Buffalo, these 2 teams. So 7-3 it was for Nashville that night. There was one low-scoring game, 2-1, but the majority of the games in Buffalo have been higher scoring. So that's kind of the way I see this one playing out. As far as goal props here tonight in this game, obviously we talked about Yuri Kulik. That line has been great for Buffalo of late. Thompson and Peterka, obviously huge games the other night against Boston. 2 different players with a shutout, Peterka and Thompson. With Kulik, you can't go wrong taking player props with anybody on that line right now. Zucker, Cousins, Tuck, the second line. Krebs, McLeod, and Quinn, the third line for the Buffalo Sabres. McLeod is someone that has been, noticeable offensively in recent games. Remember, he had the 4 goals He came back from injury, hasn't scored yet, but keep an eye on him. But certainly the top line did a ton of damage. Yeah, 5 straight both teams to score for Nashville. Good stat there from Chris Otto, talking about Nashville first periods. That 5 straight have had both teams to score. Might have to turn it into a trifecta after seeing that with Nashville and Buffalo. Wouldn't shock me to see both teams get on the scoreboard in the opening period. Nashville, meanwhile, obviously Forsberg, Stamkos, Marchessault, the go-to line. Someone in the chat, I think it was Jim Bean, who mentioned this. Vinny Hinostroza on the second line for Nashville played against the Buffalo Sabres, or used to be with the Buffalo Sabres. It's crazy how often the former player scores against Buffalo. I remember Jeff Skinner did it just recently when Buffalo played in Edmonton. So yeah, Vinny Hinostroza is not a bad shot in the dark. Now he has not scored a goal this year in how many games? 12 games played for Nashville. We do want to point that out, but something about when you face Buffalo and you used to play there, how you often do damage. So Vinny Hinostroza is not a bad thought there as far as a goal prop. I'm going to take a shot again with Svechnikov on that third line as well for Nashville. He's played well there playing with Thomas Novak. All right, Vancouver and Dallas. We've got Dallas -160, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Let's give the Canucks credit. The soap opera with Pettersson and Miller, the Jim Rutherford comments earlier this week, totally asinine for him to say what he did. Like that, I couldn't believe a president of hockey operations said, yeah, it's an issue that, and publicly talking about something like that. And then the media, just dumber than rocks, asking JT Miller to make a comment about it. You're not getting a quote from anybody with a brain, about a situation like that publicly. But nevertheless, even with all that shit going on and the shitstorm and the dumpster fire of controversy in the behind the scenes, Vancouver has all of a sudden ripped off 3 straight wins, a good win against Washington at home at the end of the homestand. They go on the road and start this trip with back-to-back wins against the Blues and the Predators. So you do have to give Vancouver credit. They've clearly parked this and been able to play some good hockey. It helps when your goaltending is good. And Lankinen was excellent against Washington in that win. You look at the performance of Lankinen again versus St. Louis. He was very solid. And I think the best part of the 3-1 win against Nashville is that Demko, who got the start in that game, really had struggled to get to his best form since returning from injury, but that was by far his best start. He was terrific. In fact, Nashville kind of snake bit that they didn't win that game, or at least didn't score more goals, because they really took it to Vancouver in the last 2 periods. They outshot Vancouver 19-9 in the last 2 periods, 32-22 for the game. And Demko just held the fort, 1 goal allowed on 32 shots. If Thatcher Demko gets back to that level, that's good news for Vancouver as they try to continue to make their push for a playoff spot in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, you've got Dallas coming in here. They've won 3 straight games as well. So both teams with 3-game win streaks, back with 2 wins against Vegas, 4-3 at home on a Friday night last week against Vegas, 2-0 back-to-back on the road against St. Louis, and then the 4-3 comeback win on our BetCast Tuesday night in Vegas against the Golden Knights, where I said, once that Miro Heiskanen got hurt, left the game after the collision with Mark Stone, you figured Dallas would have a win one for the Gipper mindset and dig down and try to come back. They did that, and they got the job done with the win against Vegas 4-3 in overtime. We'll see how this one plays out. You look at the 3 meetings last year. Vancouver won at home 2-0. Dallas won in Vancouver 3-1, but the one game in Dallas last year, 4-3 overtime win for the Stars. 2 of the last 3 meetings have gone to overtime in Dallas. I like the draw here. I don't think this is an easy game for Dallas. It's also that theory of Miro Heiskanen's out indefinitely. You step up the first game without one of your star players, one of your best players. That could certainly happen tonight for Dallas, but I'm not laying a price with Dallas against Vancouver right now. I like the way Vancouver's playing. I like the gumption they're playing with, how they've parked the nonsense and just focused on playing hockey, and it's been to their benefit here the last few games. Not to mention Demko in net versus Ottinger. That should be a great battle of American goaltenders here tonight in this game. Demko, best start by far since he's been back against Nashville. So his, not at this price with Dallas, -160. But I don't know if Vancouver wins the game. I trust Vancouver to compete. I just like the draw. We've got a series history that points to 2 of the last 3 games in Dallas going past regulation. So I like the draw here. That's where I'm going. This is one where I would lean under. I don't think we're going to see a ton of goals. Vancouver's getting back to that, especially on the road. Play tight, play structured. Don't give up a lot. Don't give up free ice in the neutral zone. And they kind of played that way, a very check, check, check type of game against Nashville the other night. So could be a lower scoring affair, in my opinion, here. Canucks and Stars. Alex, what do you think here, Vancouver, Dallas?
Yeah, right there with you on the draw. I grabbed plus 325 this morning at BetMGM. Also looking for a live under, hoping to get a goal early, maybe goal first 10 minutes, and then look to grab an under from there. 5.5, a little, a tad bit low. Like this could be 2-2, 3-3. I get that kind of a feel. So I'd rather have obviously a 6.5, 7.5 potentially. If I'm going under, but I do love this draw spot. 2, teams, the Western Conference needing points, 2 quality goaltenders, like you said, a little Team USA battle back and forth. So I think the goalies really step out and show out tonight. So definitely loving overtime.
Yeah, I could see it definitely. I remember we were an empty net goal. It was 2-1 late, and it was an empty net goal to put it away for Vancouver against Nashville. Obviously, we saw Dallas go to overtime against Vegas the other night. And like I said, we've seen with Vancouver and Dallas, there's been one goal and 2 goal margins in a majority of these games. The last 6 meetings, we've seen 1, 2, 4 of them, 3 actually of the 6 be decided by 1 goal. And again, 2 of the last 3 in Dallas have gone past regulation. As far as props for this game, I totally co-sign and 1,000% behind what Matt Robinson is talking about as far as Thomas Harley. Someone's got to take Miro Heiskanen's spot, his minutes, his top pair ice time, and Harley will be with Ilya Lyubushkin tonight. Harley's also going to get a lot more power play time. He's the natural fit. He's a good skater. He can shoot the puck. He can move it. He can quarterback a power play. So he's the logical choice to take all those Miro Heiskanen 5-on-5 even strength and power play minutes. So absolutely, Thomas Harley becomes that undervalued player prop guy right now for the Dallas Stars without Miro Heiskanen in the lineup. So anything with Thomas Harley, power play points probably worth a look as well. But certainly goal prop, assist prop, points props, anything like that makes sense now with Miro out of the lineup indefinitely for the Stars. He's the guy that's going to take a lot of that role moving forward for them. Talked about Wyatt Johnston had a great game the other night. Looks like Wyatt with Rope and Jason Robertson now. They've shifted Dodonov down. It's been a nice run with Dodonov taking his goal props on that top line. But looks like there's been a little change up here. Dodonov with Steele and Stankoven now on the third line, and Wyatt Johnston, Rope hits Jason Robertson on the top line. For Vancouver, you look at their goal. Danton Heinen is up there with Miller and Besser right now. Doesn't mean he's going to score, but boy, oh boy, you certainly get value with Danton Heinen for Vancouver up on that top line. And I'll throw another one out there. Connor Garland, what a game he had for the Canucks against St. Louis. 2 goals that night, 6 shots on goal. He's maybe worth a look. And maybe Linus Karlsson, too. Very talented kid. Finally got his first NHL goal in the win against Nashville. He's playing with, obviously, a guy that can play make, and Elias Pettersson. And even Nils Höglander on that line is probably not a bad option. The 2 guys flanking Elias Pettersson right now, Höglander and Linus Karlsson. I think both of them might be a worth a look here for props on the Vancouver side of the equation tonight as well. And again, a great goalie matchup, Ottinger and Demko. Columbus, Utah. We've got Utah minus 220 home favorites. The total 6 across the board. I love me some Columbus usually. Quite often, in fact, when they are getting this kind of a price. But you just cannot turn a blind eye, at least I can't, to the just dismal record of Columbus on a back-to-back this year. It's been terrible. They are 0-7 this season on the second night of back-to-back games. And you know what's amazing about all the losses? And Mikey documented this perfectly in our group chat. They have given up to the opponent 4 goals or more in all 7 of those losses on a back-to-back this year. Which means why the hell aren't we betting Utah team total over 3.5 tonight? It's certainly, that's the thing that jumped off the page at me. But it's not easy to trust Utah right now. We've talked about the home issues. We've talked about the struggles here at the Delta Center. Now they're without Logan Cooley. who's out for this game, and he's obviously one of their catalysts and, players they count on offensively. So now Andre Tourigny's got to adjust the lineup. Looks like it's Kerfoot, and Kerfoot's got the value now. Alex Kerfoot is going to go up there with Schmaltz and Keller on the top line. So certainly value with Alex Kerfoot for Utah now, but can he capitalize on that? Michelli, Hayton, and Doan, the second line still, but obviously Cooley being out is a big one. You're already without Dylan Guenther, too. Obviously it's unfortunate that it does hurt them offensively. Karel Vejmelka confirmed in net tonight for the Utah Hockey Club. We expect Daniil Tarasov on a back-to-back after it was Merzlikins last night. And as we've mentioned on this show, especially lately, because Merzlikins is playing the best hockey I've seen out of him in a very long time. But lately it's not been great for Tarasov. He got roasted by Carolina. He gave up 6 goals in that loss to the Carolina Hurricanes in his last start. Now, he did have a shutout against the Rangers before that. And he gave up 2 goals against Philly before that. So he did have a couple of good performances. But then you go back further, 4 to Boston allowed, 6 to Edmonton, 5 to Montreal. There's more bad than good on that Daniil Tarasov resume. That being said, Utah's having a tough time scoring. So is this a spot where even Daniil Tarasov steps in, plays better than you think? It's hard to bank on that and buy into that when you see Columbus 0-7 on the second night of back-to-back games, and of course giving up 4 goals or more to the opponent in all 7 of those games on a back-to-back this year. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't love this, but if I were to bet anything here, it'd be Utah team total over 3.5, and just bank on the fact Columbus has yielded 4 to the opponent every time they've given up, every time they've been on a back-to-back this year, 0-7 in this role. So yeah, we'll take the Columbus money from last night. And believe me, the first thing I saw when I saw this price was even on the back-to-back in the altitude of Utah. Like, how do I not come back and take Columbus again, especially with Utah struggling the way they are and banged up front a little bit, but they've just been so bad on back-to-backs. And if you went against that back-to-back angle last night and you took Philly, you got your teeth kicked in because Philly was horrible on back-to-backs, and we saw what happened last night for them on a back-to-back. They got shut out by the New York Islanders. So when you see a team struggling this much on a back-to-back to the tune of 0-7 like Columbus, hard to back them. Almost impossible to back them. What do you think here, Alex? Columbus, Utah.
This is a clear stay-away game for many reasons. As you mentioned, Columbus awful in the second leg of back-to-backs. Utah, team we still can't quite trust at home, and certainly at this kind of price. I mean, you're talking about laying, 145, 150 even in regulation here. And I just don't know where, like I said, where's the consistency in the goals are going to come from? We see Utah get hot and score a few goals, and all of a sudden they have a night where they're awfully quiet on the front end. So and Bear Commander mentioned in the chat, we've seen a lot of unders. We saw only 3 games go over last night. There's been a lot of lower scoring. This could be one of those games that maybe starts off with a pace of going over, and then it comes find out it's 2-2 in the second period, and it's a 3-2 final. So I'll be watching it and looking for something live. I have nothing pregame as of right
now. I totally get it. No doubt. Like I say, it's a tricky game. If you buy into the trend, and if you believe trend is your friend here with Blue Jackets and Utah tonight, again, 0-7 Columbus on a back-to-back, and they've given up 4 goals or more in all 7 games, which is why, it feels like it's a no-brainer taking Utah team total over 3.5, and I lean that way. And I don't trust Tarasov either for the Jackets in net, but I can't say I love it because look at this Utah team, not scoring consistently at home. They only get 2 goals at home against a lousy Pittsburgh team. It tells you all you need to know. Offense has not been easy to come by for Utah. And now you're without Guenther and Cooley up front. It's going to make it even harder. All right, final game of this Friday slate, St. Louis Blues, Colorado Avalanche. We've got Colorado minus 185 home favorites. The total in this game, 6 across the board. It's another game that's a little bit tricky. I mean, Colorado, when I look at this team, since the Rantanen trade, they're not firing on all cylinders. They're not totally in sync. That's what I see out of Colorado since the Rantanen trade. They lost 3-1 at Boston. They pull one out of their ass against the Rangers 5-4. They got badly outshot, by the way, in that game. And then they lose 5-2 the other night to the New York Islanders. Haven't looked great. They have not looked great. They have not looked right. since the Rantanen trade. I think that hit him like a ton of fucking bricks. I'm just going to say it. And you go back to McKinnon's interview after the Boston game. He looked like he lost a member of the family, like someone died. That's the reaction it looked like. And so to me, Colorado's not a team I'm rushing in their current form post-Rantanen trade to be laying this kind of a price with. I actually think there's value on St. Louis, but I'm telling you what, the Jim Montgomery coaching bump has sort of dissipated for the St. Louis Blues. 1-4 in their last 5, 0-3 in their last 3 games. They're not scoring goals, 4 goals in the last 3 games combined right now. This is one of those games where I can't lay it with Colorado, and I'm not running to trust St. Louis in their form right now either. We have seen the Blues early in the Montgomery tenure against these good teams on the road as big dogs step up and win these games, but that was a month or 2 ago. That hasn't been St. Louis lately. So if you force me to choose, I lean St. Louis plus 155, but can't say I love it. What do you think here, Alex? Final game, Blues, Avs.
Yeah, this is another tough one. I'm kind of leaning toward maybe Avs team total. I'm seeing 3.5 at even money, but that might be something that I could probably grab better in game.
Hofer and Blackwood, by the way, confirmed as the starters.
Yeah.
It will be Joel Hofer for St. Louis, Mackenzie Blackwood, who is starting to regress just a little bit. Starts for Colorado.
So this could be a good live over game. Over by affected Avs team total over. Like I said, if I had to trust somebody to really kind of maybe put the screws to someone, it'd be Colorado. Like I said, St. Louis has kind of dwelled a little bit. I like St. Louis as a team overall, but I just think this could be a little tricky spot in altitude. Avs play well on Fridays as well, so I lean with Avs, but can't back it at this price. It would be over by Factors in game or nothing.
Hofer 2-2, 2.74 goals against, 908 save percentage. There we go. Is that true, Chris Otto? 6 straight first period overs for the Blues.
Okay.
Into that,
so
maybe.
good.
But
yeah, definitely target live.
Yeah, live. Yeah.
Yeah.
When a team's on that kind of a streak, first period over, I got to take it. Yeah. So I will add that officially. Blues Avs first period over. That's. And I lean Blues. I just don't trust them enough. And I don't want to be on the wrong side of Colorado waking up and winning a home game 5-1, which they're capable of.
That's the thing I worry about too. That's why I said first. My gut feeling is just Avs team total, because it feels like it could be one of those games where they just put up 5 goals.
Yeah, no doubt. So first period over to me is the best way to go about it. Like I said, if I'm betting money line at these prices right now, it's St. Louis or nothing. I'm not laying anything like this with Colorado. Like they just look like they're in a malaise right now. They look like they're in a fog. Oh, they're like zombies. Oh, Rantanen, Mikko, where are you? That's what they look like right now. They do.
Yeah. I mean,
they've not gotten over it yet.
They've been a discombobulated team the whole year, though. I mean, that's what was so strange about this trade, right? Because it didn't feel like they were selling, like they're obviously getting quality players back, but it also did give like a signal of like, oh, this it's a shakeup. Yeah. And it was a needed shakeup because this team seemed lost, but now they still haven't really quite found their way. And I don't know, is this a team that's going to settle down out of the break? Is this going to be kind of maybe a malaise? And that's the thing we started talking about, a lot of condensed games between now and February 9th. There's maybe some teams you just want to stay off of altogether. Colorado could be one of those teams where you might want to look totals or nothing. I already know there's certain teams that I'm looking to fade. There's certain teams that I'm looking where, like I said, I'm only considering totals. Can't look at any.
Great live betting game. If Colorado is looking like those zombies there, Mikko, if they're like that again, and they look dopey to start the game, look at St. Louis live. If they look like they're on their toes, they're pushing pucks on net on Hofer and swarming in the offensive zone early, and they look dialed in. Then maybe you look at Colorado live. That's what you do. So. Like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that they've been, kind of slumping here, because it's trace it back to the trade happening a week ago today. So again, keep that in mind. It's a good observational game. This would have been a great, if we had a betcast tonight, this would have been a great betcast game, because then you'll really have a good idea of how these teams are going to respond and answer the bell from the opening puck drop. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Looking forward to, obviously, the 4 games tonight. We're really looking forward. You know what I love? Let's give the NHL credit and the schedule makers for once. We shit on them a lot, and deservedly so, because they fuck up a lot and they do stupid things, stupid shit. We've said that over and over again. Let's give them credit. We've got 9 games on Saturday, as we would expect. Which isn't as much as some Saturdays, but we have 9 games on Saturday, big slate. And on Sunday, we have the exact same amount of games. No football. The deck is clear for the first Sunday since September or late August. There's no NFL or college football on a Sunday, or no NFL football, I should say, on a Sunday. And now 9 games the NHL has gone with this Sunday. That's the way it should be. Take advantage. There's no doubt. And can you believe it? We've got a balanced weekend schedule. 9 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday. Shocking.
This Sunday should always be a target date for the NHL. The Sunday between the NFL Conference Championships and the Super Bowl. No one watches the Pro Bowl anymore. There's limited college basketball on a Sunday. Take advantage, and I love to see it. And we got games on ABC this weekend as well. You had the game last night on ESPN. So yeah, NHL, nice job.
Yeah, 18 games, Matt, this weekend. It's great. 9 and 9, and balanced, even number of games both days. So we're going to have big weekend shows coming up Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern. So looking forward to those. We got the younger Robinson coming on tomorrow. Ryan will be joining us on the Saturday show. So looking forward to that. And a reminder, again, one more time, that we've got our next Betcast Thursday, February 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you join us for that. We hit the big 250 Patreon members, and we thank you so much for that. And we hope to continue to keep on bringing in new Patreons to be with us for events like this. Our next live Patreon exclusive Betcast next Thursday, February 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're not a Patreon member yet, get on board. It's just $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, and player props as well. Exclusive videos, exclusive articles, and again, lots of bonus content there. $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got new merch in the store right now, and if you want to get some, you can also get it with free standard shipping for the next week. Go on to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, click on the redeem button at the top of the page. You get free standard shipping at checkout with any items that you order. We've got everything in stock right now, all the new items, so definitely check that out right now and take advantage of that free standard shipping for a full week starting today. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. Make sure you check it out. All right, we've got Best Bets Bargain Bin Special of the night coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Hey, I loved all the bargain bins we came at you with last night. Unfortunately, not a one comes through. Hey, that's going to happen sometimes, though. Alex, Friday night bargain bin special. What do you got?
Yeah, this is kind of a tougher one for me. I was just kind of scrolling through, trying to look and find somebody. And I'm going to throw a dart here. I'm going to go with Jack Quinn plus 330 for the Buffalo Sabres. We like goals in that game. We think the Sabres are going to, show out well. They got their slick third jerseys on for Rob Ray night. Give me Jack Quinn plus 330. Anytime goal. It's my bargain special this Friday night.
There you go, Jack Quinn. I like it there. Plus 330 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. For my bargain bin special of the night, I'm going to give Matt Robinson the partial credit, actually most of the credit for this if it hits, but I love it. It was actually one of the ones that made a lot of sense to me. He's going to get the power play minutes. He's going to get the greater 5-on-5 minutes from the blue line, probably be shooting the puck more. We're going to go with we're going to ride that Harley tonight in Big D. Thomas Harley for the Dallas Stars, plus 750 at DraftKings. The best price out there with that. We'll go with that for bargain bin special of the night for this Friday NHL slate. I think it makes a lot of sense there. So Harley for the Stars plus 750 there. Funny when Alex was saying, I'm trying to find somebody thinks of the Queen song. Gets stuck in my head. Anybody find me somebody to love? Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Find somebody to love here as far as our bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Thursday slate. Congrats on yours for this Friday slate. Best bets. Congrats to you, Alex, for yours last night. Minnesota in the shutout win for Marc-Andre Fleury. What do you got here for Friday for best bet?
Let's head down to the Lone Star State. We got Vancouver taking on Dallas. Like I said, it's going to be a tight, close game. Two quality teams, quality goaltenders, and teams that just need points. So give me the draw. Plus 325 at BetOnline and BetMGM. You can get that with Stars Canucks draw. That's my Friday best bet.
There we go. Vancouver, Dallas draw. Best bet for Alex B. Smith for this slate. My best bet for this slate. Let's go with Nashville, Buffalo, over 6.5. I like the first period too, but we'll go full game because I think full game gets there as well. Useless on it and don't trust him. Don't trust Buffalo defensively, even after the Boston win. But at the same time, Nashville finally played better defensively against Vancouver. But let's be honest, they were scuffling defensively before that game. And Buffalo's got a little more potency than Vancouver, in my opinion, especially when Buffalo plays at home. So I see goals both ways. Preds, Sabres over 6.5. For my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Back with you tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.